Probably just the vendor kit. I figured it. Well, it doesn't exactly make me want to do more work.
Well, Gary, have you solved any problems today? I'll start with the tough questions, and then we'll get to, where you from and all that stuff.
Locally from here, native.
Uh-huh.
Locally from here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's great.
I think I've been maybe
Yeah. Well, I have a very special relationship here because my wife owns this place. But I'm a software developer, so they don't put me to work here too much. Every now and then. So business applications, database stuff, data-driven applications, all kinds of stuff. We have a product, we kind of put it in quotes, called TeamShare, which is gets you the basic web security and database stuff, and then we configure and customize it according to whatever business rules there are, so whatever your needs are, and get it up and running fast. That's the big thing. It's funny. I've been around a while, as you can tell, and things that used to take 6 months, literally in 3 days, we have it up and running. Kind of crazy. But
like the original owner of it.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. We have these lunches. We try to have them once every couple of months. Sometimes we do it a little different, but just by coincidence, that's what this one's about. It's about the owner, and yes, you'll learn everything you want to know about Otherlands today. But it really, that happens to be what this is about, is Otherlands, but that's not really what it's about. It's about business. It's about, getting people together, making things happen, figure things out.
Is it always the same? Is it always the same concept every month, or whenever you hold it? Or is it just different?
No, all kinds of different business topics. Whatever, topic du jour. Doesn't matter. I'm just recording this one, so. Yep. Yeah, the world has changed with recording stuff, video and all that.
Are you like a regional person, or is there you keep your internet?
No, it's informal, but it's just a group.
But I see you using the real mic over there.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's called a Yeti. It's nice. Yeti. Yep. Are you into music or video or any?
A lot of what we're doing
IT. So like you software.
Oh, okay. Okay.
More service side of
Uh-huh.
network infrastructure.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Alright, so first,
Especially in certain fields.
Sure. When, yeah. Karen, lead?
She's just making herself busy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My God, that was working.
Karen is at the line.
Although I'm sure this comes out. Yes.
So that, I mean, it's picked up, which is good.
you said they're the last time.
I was like, you're welcome. That's where I'm going.
We're going to get started in just a few minutes, but if you haven't made the opportunity, please help yourself to lunch. It's over there on the table.
Michael, say a few words.
I just promised a light show.
Light show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dance party.
You're coming through.
All right, everyone. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'd like to thank you for joining us. Please help yourself. Grab anything you can. And this is our semi-regular edition of Not Business as Usual. We'd love to thank our partners at Optimal Process, two of whom are represented. Otherlands for providing the space and the lunch and also the content today. I'm Michael Graber with the Southern Growth Studio, an innovation and strategy firm. We're going to have a conversation about small business using Otherlands as our case. So we're probably going to talk about three main topics today. We invite any questions. These are just how a small business gets started. So the story of Otherlands. Second is what it's like to be a member of the local business community. And third, Karen will offer tips from experience for entrepreneurs. So first, I was reflecting on this, and I'll just start, if I may, by talking with them. And I was thinking of all the significant moments that Otherlands has played in my life. And it started adding up and compounding. And when I worked in advertising and hated my job as a copywriter for direct mail for mortgages, I would come here in the mornings, and I wrote my first book that got published here every morning, a long time ago. Yeah, and I courted all three of my wives here. And several girlfriends. I've played music here in many capacities. We've had business meetings here, not only this, but other meetings. We've had community meetings here. I've brought all my children here many times. When I've reconnected with high school friends on Facebook, we need a place to meet. So it's really been such an oasis in every dimension of my life: romance, finance, friendship, and I'm so grateful. So thank you for hosting this oasis in the community. And so with that, can you just tell us the story of when you first saw this building, right? What was it? And then what was it when you first took it over?
When I first saw this building, it was Merrill Kremer Advertising on this side and Stuber's Piano Rental on that side. That's the sign, which I'm not allowed by some of my still current customers from the very beginning to take the Stuber's Piano Rental sign down, some sort of sacrilege. And so this building was divided on this side up into like 12 rooms, and that was shotgun with indoor-outdoor carpet. when I first saw this building, I'm sure I passed this building by 100 times in the time since I moved back to Memphis in the early 80s and never noticed it at all. And then when it sprang on the market, I wanted it and convinced my business partner at the time to buy it. His words to me were, couldn't you have found something prettier? But it was so centrally located, and I didn't want to be in either business district, even though neither district was like it is now, but still they were there, and I didn't want to fight parking and all that sort of thing, so it seemed like the perfect spot.
But you didn't start out as a coffee shop.
No, I did not.
So what?
I started out as a futon store in the bottom floor of the Gilmore. And I started out as a futon store after working for different health food restaurants and stores and making my own futon mattresses. And this was something I learned working at La Montagne. I don't know if y'all remember that place. But I was part of the opening crew, which was an incredible lesson in opening a place. And so I started making futons and was just doing it on the side, and hit kind of a pivotal turning point, and at the same time met Jefferson Holt, who was the manager of REM, and he offered to back me in business. So that was the beginning of the futon store, and I quit making futons because it was really dirty and you couldn't wear black ever.
So how did you get into coffee?
I moved into this space in 1994, and this side of the building was, I had the futon store and the gift store that just kind of started building with the futons. And so I tried for a year to talk somebody into renting the other side, and when nobody took it, I decided I was going to do it. And as soon as I decided I was going to do it, some people came, this one woman came to me and said, I'm moving back to Memphis, I'm a quick study, and I'd like to help you. And I have other friends that want to move here and could help too. So they did, and it was really crazy because the guy that came had been a barista at a Starbucks in Evanston, and at that point in time, Starbucks was like precision espresso shop. They were, timing their shots, and it was just the beginning of that industry nationally. And he was from Romania. And when I first met him, he had this gigantic head of hair. And then in the time in between when I first met him and he came to Memphis, he had an epiphany. And he had shaved his head and had this little pigtail coming out the back. So I had this really smart, really exotic guy trying to start out this enterprise where I was trying to attract every kind of person in Midtown. So it was kind of wild. The two women had been social workers working with troubled youth. And so it became this thing where all these kids came here to get drinks and had their problems solved at the same time. We had a huge clientele of between 14 and 19.
And how long did both enterprises go into the same place?
Probably 2 years. When we first started out with the coffee shop, it was 4 tables in the back and no deck. And the gift shop moved to the front. And then this whole side was the futon showroom. And then that industry kind of went on skids, became too popularized, and as well, it's like, for me in business, it's been a matter of luck and unluck. And the unluck at this point was my main vendor CEO died in a plane crash. And their company toppled. And so it's just all the signs were there to get out of it. The coffee shop was just going crazy. So we shifted again.
And how long did it take you to fix up this?
Well, there've been so many phases. Probably just maybe 2 months.
And did you know that you had hit it with coffee just from the demand, people coming, lines forming, and problem solving?
I think so, yeah. I mean, there's always competition, but, this place was such a gap in the market for people having a place to hang out, which there just weren't that many in Memphis, and in particular for youth, but every kind of person, really.
And I'm so grateful that with a part-time job as a musician to play in the best sounding room, in a sense, which is Otherlands. And I'm playing here August 22nd, by the way, on our calendar. And with that, how did you get into music and showcasing music and deciding when to do it and when not?
Well, two things. One is there's this organization called MAMA, Memphis Acoustic Music Association, and they're kind of like a club that of people, older people, like from 40s to 80s, who wanted to have a listening room. So they helped me get the lights in, and for probably 2 or 3 years, we started having their shows. And their shows are like, we row up the chairs, and everybody has to be super quiet, or someone is going to shush them. But it's destination music, and they brought in a lot of good acts. And then several years after they started doing that, I had a customer who had been working in the music business and worked at a place downtown, and he got bit by the wrong mosquito and got West Nile virus and became handicapped. And so this became something for him to do, that he could use his expertise in musicians and bring people in, book the music, and arrange the whole thing, and still be able to do it from a wheelchair.
So most recently, I've noticed there may be other things that you have expanded the deck out back.
Yes?
And I hear there are plans for this room in the back. Can you talk about the next 3 months to 3 years here?
Well, I don't know about this room.
Okay.
It's such a staging area for the whole business, but we have been letting people meet in there, in particular book signings. Because a lot of times people want to book that on a weekend, and I can't control what's happening in here at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. But I'd say streamlining it more and more to maybe we do offer some business services. So if you came in here and you needed access to a printer, we could create that. As far as plans for the future, Steve and I have been talking a lot about really enhancing the music to where more people know about it. And it's kind of crazy because a lot of this music, people that live in this neighborhood would love to come here, and they've probably driven past this building hundreds of times and have no idea that we have a listening room in here. And it's unlike anything in the city in terms of the kind of music, and to be able to sit and enjoy and have the music, the audience pull on the artist. So I want to try to get the word out about that more and more.
And I mentioned before my personal experience with Otherlands and it impacting positively so many dimensions of my life. But then I look around and I see some of the same people coming year after year after year after year, and I just think of all these lives that meet here as a hub. And I'm curious what you see in terms of the role of the community that Otherlands plays.
Well, it's always had a huge role, and probably in my business I've been able to see more than a lot of businesses how the change in technology has changed my business so much, because this used to be a place where people would come and meet and make new friends, and pre-cell phone, certainly pre-Wi-Fi, and it's changed into much more of a place where people come to work and people come to study, and they're more pivotal on their computer than they are on the people around them. It's become a situation where, of course, I have to make sure we have the technology with good Wi-Fi, which is not always easy. And, but it's still a meeting place, and a lot of things have happened here that have changed the community. And I see having located here in the middle as kind of having been a big domino for the whole community. You know, an area gets wasted and the buildings around it start to fall in decay, or something comes up and is vital and people are going there, and there's magnetism, and then the buildings around it start to come up. And this is very much an industrial area when I first moved in. So it's a huge difference, and a difference for us too. Probably continue to morph around the building a little bit. I'm not quite sure how. Always trying to provide better service and make it a better place for people to come and have their needs taken care of.
Let's briefly talk about the menu. And let me give a little story here. Often, my wife and I go out to dinner, fine restaurants, but then we'll say, this dessert menu just, let's go to other ones to get the carrot cake. And we don't know where you get it, but how do you make decisions about your desserts, your baked goods, types of coffee, menu items that you've tried and not succeeded, menu items that have succeeded better than you expected?
Well, I'm trying to buy locally, and because that's good for everybody, to keep the money in the community. And almost all my pastries come in from the neighborhood.
But you've been doing that much longer than the local craze. So
Yeah. It was from the beginning. And my coffee is local also, and Jim McCarter brings my coffee. And he's spoiled me so badly because I don't even order the coffee. He just shows up with it. It's like we're on a schedule. He knows what my usage is. But Sherry McKelvey is our carrot cake baker, and she makes our muffins. And I don't know if y'all know her from the downtown farmers market, but she makes incredible bread. And then my cookie gal is another person. And I now have all our soups and all our burritos made locally by Janice Blancett. So, there's a few things I buy from natural food vendors, and I try to keep the quality of the ingredients as high as we can, but also buy locally as much as possible. So I'm probably supporting at least 3 people. I'm their main job.
And what about the gift shop? It's gone through several iterations as well.
Yeah, I think you'd call the gift shop a bad addiction to shop, but it's at one point this whole side of the building was the gift shop after I eliminated the futons, and that was kind of effect of technology too, because sales went down with the ability to buy things online. And I don't know about other people, but I just love to shop. And anytime I travel, I love to go to places and go into stores. And I think we'll probably see a resurgence in the ability to do that more and more. It's like we gave something away that we want back. Maybe like more bookstores, but think about all the things that have changed in 20 years, which this is my 21st year here.
So out of so many memories, one of my favorites, we had a memorial for a friend who passed away, a mutual friend. It was so touching. That been here every day for 1994, most days at least. What are 2 or 3 your favorite memories?
Well, I think one is meeting Ovid after he had the haircut, and the whole experience of working with him, which only lasted a year, but it was incredible nonetheless. And I think one of the others, it wasn't actually a Otherlands memory, it was before anything existed, but it was after having had the conversation with Jefferson and Michael, and then coming home to find the letter and Heidi's ruler. We want to do it. And just imagining that my whole life had just changed and I was going to be able to accomplish my dreams. And then probably the other is some of the first big parties we had in the building when it was just felt so good to be here and have the community in here at the same time, friends, family.
So, hear people talking about Otherlands a lot, and what would you, so if someone says Otherlands, you overhear them talking about, let's say you're at the farmer's market, what associations would you want to be inside that word?
Of course, good food and drink, but it's a place to meet friends and a place to gather with others to make things happen.
So now I'm going to transition and get away from the story of Otherlands and look at the role of the community and entrepreneur. Any other questions about Otherlands before I move ahead?
Just curious where the name Otherlands came from.
Where did the name come from? Well, I used to get my best ideas driving on mountain roads. And my first business was cottonland, land of cotton. And then driving, I just thought other lands, and I wanted it to be multinational, and I wanted it to be like the places you always read about in books, where things happened in Paris in the cafe, you know, whether it was revolutions or, you know, great books were written, or, you know, other lands.
Yes.
Where did Auger go, and you still keep in contact with him?
What he said.
Where did Aga go and still keep in contact with you?
I am not in contact with him other than maybe seeing him on Facebook, but he's in Paris.
Though it makes sense that you have to do this, but what would you say helped you to keep shifting? You use that term so strongly, and I just had to shift. What kept you shifting rather than giving up?
She said you used the term shifting so much and so passionate. What persuaded you to keep shifting and adapting rather than giving up?
Well, I would say this is the most important thing in anybody becoming an entrepreneur is an ability to see what the next big move is and to be able to go into it. And whether you add something to what you're doing now or you change completely. If I had stayed a futon store, you know, who knows what would have happened. Probably not too much, because everybody around me would have gone out of business, but all my vendors. But it's being able to watch your culture and also talk to people and find out what they want from your business. I do that a lot in here.
And if you were going to start Otherlands today, knowing what you know now, what would you do different?
Well, possible, impossible. I would have tried to be more capitalized from the beginning. I might have designed the main room differently, the way you come in. It's hard to say because, you know, if I had put the service area against the wall, would we have been able to have music in there? So every time I try to rethink what I've done and what I might have done, or hit a roadblock to, oh, you had to do it that way. I think everything kind of just worked out perfectly.
And if you were going to start a second location, where would it be?
Well, I had a fantasy for a while of wanting to be downtown, in particular with a river view, because it's so crazy that we have this beautiful river and nowhere to sit to look out on it, or very few places. And I had a fantasy of having a jazz club in the bottom of the library, but I don't know. Maybe somebody will come forward and want to do that. Help me with it.
In the back, we've got a volunteer to help you.
Karen, who did you say your original backer was? I thought I heard what you said, but I wasn't sure.
Jefferson Holt, he was the manager of REM.
So how did you have that connection? I was just curious.
Do I still have it?
No, how did you have that connection?
Well, I had it in 2 or 3 different ways. One was I was working at the Squash Blossom and they were recording at Ardent. The other was I had a girlfriend who was dating him. And the other was I had some friends in a band years ago and they had been the opening act for them back when the Antenna Club was there. And so we'd all become friends. So it was kind of like the Bermuda Triangle of making things happen. And so when they were recording here, I made futon pillows for Jefferson and Michael. And funny story about that, you know, nobody can ever tell you anything sometimes. Jefferson had said, I really like the pillow, but it's kind of hard. And I was just like, oh, what do you know? A couple of months later, I was staying at his house, sleeping in one of his beds. And I was like, what is this under my head? Pull it out, it's the pillow I made, hard as a rock. But many stories later.
So you live and learn.
So there's been such a resurgence in the neighborhood, right, in all of Midtown in many ways. So how active would you characterize the local business community?
Not really active getting together and talking about things as maybe they should be. I know Madison Avenue has a business association, but I'm not really quite sure what they're doing. I think there's a lot of room for that, and in particular, thinking about what is market saturation. You know, how many businesses can an area support and everybody be as vital as they need to be, and looking to the future, and especially with the fairgrounds redevelopment, I think there are a lot of questions there about what is going to happen and what could that mean for all of Midtown. And then two, I think one of the reasons we all like Midtown is because it's easy to get things done in a 5 square mile radius. Well, once all this property gets developed to the south of here and there are a bunch of apartments there, and you add 5,000 to 10,000 people, what is that going to do to our easy to get around neighborhood? So I think that there's not enough talk, and there probably needs to be more about those sorts of impacts on our lifestyle.
So you mentioned before you liked this because it was an industrial zone and there wasn't a formal business district. But now just because of the context changing so much, is it time for some formalization, some type of association, or more than a peer network?
I would say so, definitely.
And how would you characterize the network now?
Crisis mode. You know, if something happens where people need to talk, they talk, but otherwise there's not that much communication.
And what would you change about the level of interaction?
Well, I think it would be good if, I mean, there is a Cooper Young Neighborhood Association, but there needs to be more organizations, but I'm not gonna start them. So, you know, it's easy to say what needs to happen if you're not willing to do it yourself, so.
So if Chip came to you and said, you know, I'm really sick of my life,
Whatever he
Because
does.
it's Chip.
whatever he does, he works at the hospital. And I want to start a coffee store. Can you help me? What advice would you give me? Please.
Well, Chip is in business for himself with his wife, so I'm sure he is. I would say, make sure capitalized, and make sure within your business, you know how to do everything that needs to be done there. And I have not done that myself and wished I had. So that, you know, in a crisis, you can jump in there and do whatever needs to be done.
And did you have a formal or informal advisory panel when you were starting?
No, I did not.
Did you have a mentor?
Cheers.
The virtual mentor.
The TV.
Bedtime stories.
Are those things you wish that you would have had more formal?
I don't know that anybody can really tell you what you need to do.
Right.
You know, sometimes you just have to learn on your own, but I do feel like I've been extremely lucky, and one of the really lucky things has been having people come to me when I needed them. It was almost like magic. And then throughout my life, I've been lucky to find places to rent, to live in, and to buy that were really inexpensive. So my personal overhead has been really low. And that's, in entrepreneurship, that's really important, because if you think you're gonna start a business and make a lot of money, you might, but you know, you might not, and most businesses don't last very long, and that's probably the key reason why is not enough money.
So if Chip came to you and said, well, thank you for that advice, but I need some different type of advice. I mean, what are your biggest day-to-day hurdles? Is it talent? Is it menu? Is it promotion? Is it, I mean, what really keeps you anxious as soon as you get that list of stuff? You
Well,
look so calm.
dealing with people, whether it be your employees or your clientele, can be difficult. And hiring the right person and training them well and being able to manage them are massive. And I have quite a few employees that have been with me for a very long time. And if somebody's good, they leave, they can come back. And so that's been kind of a gift to the community because it allows people to explore their dreams but have something to come back to if they need to. But usually you've got your employees training your new employees, and you've got your doers and you've got your delegators, and they're usually not the same person. So that's really hard, to make sure that your new employees get trained well and that they've had a thorough opportunity to learn how to do what needs to happen in here. And I've always wanted this place to be a place that anybody came in here and asked a question. If they didn't get an answer, they were gonna get the answer. I don't know, let me find out. And so that's key to being able to work here and to keep me functioning. The other thing is, things happen in here all the time that I don't know about. And some of them can be pretty bad. And I think that the public makes an assumption that if it happens in here, I know about it and I condone it. But that's definitely not true. So I think with any small business owner, that's why you have all those surveys and stuff on the table, is don't assume that the business owner knows, because if you don't tell me, I probably don't know. So if you're consistently coming here and employee is not nice, gracious, friendly, or any small business, you need to be sure you tell the manager or owner, because, like I said, often they do not even know.
Now, what particular challenges have you faced as a female business owner?
I think that most people, male and female, respect men more, and that they're more apt to do what a male manager will ask them to do. I think that most of us were used to ignoring our mothers. And so I have that problem often, where I'm having to repeat myself way too much because people aren't doing it. And I've often thought, if I were a guy, would you do that? Especially if I were a real tall guy.
You mentioned some things going on in the fairgrounds and just apartment buildings, other signs of Midtown becoming an end thing. I'm just curious, what would be your ideal vision for Midtown's growth? If you could say, okay, Karen, we've got this green council, it's funded, and you can set city ordinances about growth. How would you design this footprint?
That's big.
It is big.
Maybe we should turn that over to the audience.
Yeah. What would you like to see? I guess what should we hold on to, and what should we do?
Slot car track.
Huh?
Slot car tracks.
Okay.
The little cars, Bzzz. Yeah.
I'd like to see it, and there's been some progress, but easier to maintain a business without zoning regulations, or start up a business without zoning regulations, and harder for corporations or boxes to come in, tear things down, and put up something. To basically taking advantage, sponging off of Midtown, not adding anything to it.
It's interesting. We went to Las Vegas to visit Zappos and do some other things. They've got the opposite problem that we have. Everything is knocked down. There's no blighted properties or unused inventory anywhere. So it's almost as an atom bomb or the problem happened in Atlanta with Sherman just torching the town, so they had to rebuild. They had that opportunity. But as you mentioned, we have so much unused infrastructure here. assets. So with that, I just want to give everybody kind of an asset, and what assets do we have that are important, and what things could we actually transform into something different? I don't know what's going on with the fairgrounds. We'll let everybody germinate for a minute. So maybe, what what's being proposed? Do you know?
Well, I don't know that they know.
Okay.
They have some ideas about things that would make the Midtown area a TDZ, which is a tax development zone. So part of our sales taxes would go to fund this project, right? And that's not money that we would get anyway, but it is money that if we had some big ideas, that maybe we could ask the state to have that happen, whether it be something crazy like parking at the zoo. But I think the big fear with the fairgrounds is kind of like a lot of other things that have happened in Midtown, whether it be the pyramid or other things, that it's not well thought through enough and it doesn't have enough future to it, and it's going to either be a repetition of something that's already happening somewhere else in the city, or it's going to be underutilized, or for me, I don't want to see a lot of competition to Midtown businesses that already exist. But I don't know.
Well, to me, it's both staggering and it's enthralling to go to Nashville now to see that they have a traffic problem that's as bad as Atlanta. Do you ever think we'll get to that point in Midtown? We're waiting for me to get to here, which is about 1.5 miles from my home. It'll take me 20 minutes instead of 2.
It takes me 20 minutes to get across the street on foot.
And how long has that been?
No, it seems like it's more recent. Just in the last couple of days, I've been crossing the street.
It's happening so fast. Watch out.
It's created all this traffic up and down Cooper. I don't know. You know, it's like when we wanted to put the bicycle lanes on Madison, there was a huge fight, and part of the fight was that bicycle lanes were going to do to Midtown what the trolley did to Midtown. When in actuality, there were like 6 or 7 things happened all at once. Baptist Hospital moved out east, downtown mostly moved out east. And granted, you know, the trolley was a big problem for businesses who were obstructed by it, but the ability to see the big picture and see, well, what were all the things that happened that caused this to happen. And then too, Overton Square went completely down, or not completely, but mostly, until Loeb resurrected it. So what is happening that affects, you know, the traffic on Cooper? I don't know. But I think it could be hazardous to really having as good a lifestyle as we have.
So questions from the audience?
What's going on directly across the street?
Cross this way?
Yeah.
Where the blue banners.
Oh, here? It's called, it's a church group called Redeemer Presbyterian. They're completely renovating that building, and I'm gonna have their congregation there. They've been meeting at the church healthcare center.
So will you be able to use their parking at nighttime or not?
I don't know what's gonna happen. Supposedly, they're really nice people.
Okay, good.
And I'm hoping that we can just work together, and it's not gonna be a problem, and I'll sell more coffee.
With the redevelopment of the square, have you guys seen an uptick in business, downtick, or kind of steady?
I think it's good for everybody. Yeah, definitely.
So does the question then become, when is enough enough?
Well, or I don't see having a problem of too much business. You know, we just do whatever we had to do to accommodate everybody. But it definitely has affected other restaurants. And I think that usually happens a lot initially, and then everybody's gone there. You know, it's old hat, and they go back to the other places they loved anyway. And then I think too, like in my area with Muddy's opening up right up the street, that definitely affected me initially. But I think that too has created more traffic in this general area, and I figure the moms with the little kids are going down there to get their sugar fix, and the teenagers are coming down here to get away from them. So I think that in particular is really good for all of us. And, you know, I'm sure everybody's traveled to cities where you can walk around and go from business to business, and it makes it really interesting. And the more we close the gap on that, we'll have more pedestrian traffic and bicycles. Make it a more fun place to be with more businesses. Hopefully not just the same sorts of businesses, that we fill in the gap with the things that we need that we don't have.
Like a slot car track.
What medium do you use to advertise the music that you have? Is it like in the flyer or on the radio? How would we find out?
Music, yep. We have a website. We have an emailing list. So you should leave me your email address and we'll get you on there. But you can go to our website every week. We advertise in the flyer in the middle by the day.
And Facebook. Facebook.
Yeah. Facebook, definitely. Social media.
Last chance, everybody. Last
I'd
call.
like to ask about
Yes,
the
please.
decorative theme of the maps. What's the history behind all the maps?
The maps.
Maps. Why so many maps?
Well, other lands and this land too.
I noticed we hadn't gotten Interstellar yet, right?
Not yet.
This month, but maybe that's
We're
the
gonna put
next.
a launch pad
Yeah.
on the roof.
I don't know, that thing over there, the thing over there with the wings, I don't know what that is, but could be.
Well, yes, Sharon.
I guess as a last comment, I would just like to encourage everyone who has any input with the mayor or city planning or the future of our city to keep up the discussion about traffic problems, because my experience, say traveling to Las Vegas, is Las Vegas works because you can get around, and Memphis doesn't work because you can't get around. And as I read the development ideas for the Cook Convention Center that were in the paper recently, I was thinking, it's really great, but we really don't have the means to move tourists around in a manner that is at all pleasant. And some years ago, there was a really big fight at the Pyramid. I can't remember who the boxers were, but it brought a zillion people into town. And I, at the time, had a concierge business, and somebody called me and said, this is at the last minute, go pick up this high roller at the airport and take him to the Peabody. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I go to the airport and I get this guy, and we get kind of close to downtown, and there's this traffic problem. And we get closer to downtown, and then there's a real traffic problem. And then you get to the area of the Peabody, and there's nothing to do but park illegally and throw the guy out on the curb. And that kind of planning for the future of Memphis, I don't care what you build and how many people you bring here, if you really can't move them around, you won't move the money around, and you won't bring tourists back again after they've come once. And I would go back to Las Vegas personally, because there was a lot of entertainment, there's good shopping, there's good outdoor activities, and because I could get from the airport easily and move about the city well. And I hate to use them as really an example, but you were talking about them, so I thought, well, they're a decent example.
It is
of
good
a
city planning, because even though the sidewalks are crowded, they're moving.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we just really don't have anything like that here, or any semblance, and I don't even see anybody talking about it. But I do foresee just a huge traffic problem and the inability to, not only for the citizens of the city to enjoy the city, but to bring people who want to experience Elvis or whatever they come here for, to enjoy it, because people drive terribly. We have no good public transportation.
Yeah. Cars are a luxury addiction. I mean, everybody in Memphis, place like Memphis, you got to have your car. You know, if you don't, because you don't have any choices, and the more people drive because they got to have their car, the worse it gets. And
I think we all see that it's getting worse.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I for one, am so glad and grateful for everything that Otherland has brought to the community and my life and all the lives it's touched. So, Karen, thank you for all your work and for shifting and growing.